Parsons for Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. Dusted myself off, Mr. Alfie Sharman. It's always a pleasure just having a little natter off camera. The first interview you did in boxing up on that main stage was the launch presser for Katie Taylor, Chantel Cameron in Dublin. You're here again today. Joshua-Whyte2. As a platform, you guys must be over the moon with landing this one on pay-per-view.
Yeah, we're really excited. I mean, two huge names. Good reference to our first ever dialogue there, Charlie. It feels like a lifetime ago now, but no, look, bringing it back to today, this is a massive domestic fight, and domestic fights come with a different level of excitement and buzz. But obviously, with these two guys, the history runs deep, and we can't wait. Yeah, we're super excited.
Out of curiosity, from a company standpoint, we were speaking to Eddie and Frank all the way up in the build-up for this, and it was always, we don't think it's going to be Dillian Whyte. We don't think it's going to be Dillian Whyte. We know that the other opponent, I think, was probably going to be Ajit Kabayel. When you look at them in terms of sales from a fight, from a sort of marketing and company standpoint where you come from, you're much happier with this one over the line.
Yeah, of course. Look, I mean, there's no ambiguity around what our job as a business is to do, which is to provide the best content, which ultimately drives growth and subscriptions and pay-per-view buys. The better content increases the likelihood of that. I mean, this is quite a turnaround. Obviously, to your point, it's still being discussed last week, so for us to have this artwork ready and looking so great is good. But yeah, I mean, it literally is to the wire, Charlie, as you know, a lot of the times. So yeah, we've ended on an outcome that we're really happy with.
Let's talk a little bit about the schedule over in the States and in the UK. I think everything's sort of been booming. We're also in Detroit at the back end of this week for Alicia Baumgartner. When we look at some of the run that you've had, unlucky with what happened with Virgil Ortiz and Stanionis, but had a good run in the States. Feels like from a company standpoint, everything is in a good place?
Yeah, look, I think I said this to you back in February when we spoke, what was coming up, and now looking back on it retrospectively, and I'm saying this, as a obviously working at DAZN, but as a boxing fan, I can't remember a stronger domestic and international schedule. The way that we started the year from February onwards up to where we are now was quite remarkable. Obviously, we had some dotted, huge flagship events in there. AJ's first fight on DAZN part-year subscription, Canelo, obviously pay-per-view with DAZN. So it's been a fantastic start to the year. As you say, we've got Baumgartner this weekend. We're a bit unfortunate with Virgil Ortiz Jr. last week. We wish him all the best in his health, but lots to come. I know that for a fact, and I'm very excited for the British fans to see what we've got for our autumn schedule and beyond.
We are eagerly awaiting that, but I won't push you on that one too much. I'm sure that's one for Eddie and Frank. On this fight, we've always talked about sort of the move to streaming, etc. DAZN pay-per-view is still a fairly new concept, but it feels like the sort of projection for pay-per-view numbers of this fight is going to be good. I suppose you don't make it if there's any sort of question about that in mind. You believe, regardless of the platform, that this fight will do the numbers it deserves?
Absolutely. I mean, there are certain fights and that comes back to where we've got a job to make sure that those casual fans know who we are and know where to go, and know that DAZN is accessible on any device. It's available on Sky. It's available to buy on Virgin. As a brand in its infancy, you've got to do a little bit more maybe than a Sky would or a BT would. But when you have events like this at this scale, the numbers follow. They're great fights, and the fans and the sports fans more generally know that.
Alfie, out of curiosity, we've seen a lot of back and forth between, more sort of Oscar De La Hoya aimed at Eddie. From a company standpoint, is there any issue with that? We know that sort of if it comes to working together, etc., they're going to have to. I know Eddie threw up the idea about Edgar Berlanga fighting Jaime Munguia, and Oscar De La Hoya wasn't very happy about that. A lot of boxing fans were like, well, why? You're all on the same broadcaster, etc. Is there a point where it needs to be railed in a little bit?
It's a tough fight. I'm not going to comment on Eddie and Oscar's exchange individually, right? Because a lot of it, as you know, is banter, and it's the way that these guys work. For us as a platform and as a business, we've been saying and have been saying for years, we have to work with multiple promoters, and the proof is in the pudding. We've done that already multiple times this year. Wasserman with Josh Kelly coming up in the 15th. Obviously Garcia. Tank was co-exclusive with Showtime in the US, and obviously our existing work with Matchroom and Golden Boy will continue, and they will be part of that journey.
Will be between them. Just a few sort of last ones from me. The loss of Canelo Alvarez was obviously quite a big one. He's gone to Showtime PBC. A bit of a weird. Everyone expected it to be Jamel Charlo. It's Jamel, undisputed versus undisputed, the 154 champ. Won't go into that too much, but were you surprised? I know that he'd had a long tenure with DAZN and sort of gone through a lot of the champions, etc. I know it's all been very amicable, but a big loss for the platform.
Yeah, look, I mean, the word there is amicable. It's very professional. We've had an excellent relationship with Canelo since we launched the boxing business. This is business. We made business decisions, as did Canelo. Good luck to him. Congratulations to Showtime, obviously, as well. And we move on. We are more than confident in our US platform. We've obviously got the likes of Ryan Garcia, to name just one star, coming up, as well as the various top fighters. Obviously Regis Prograis recently just signed. There's lots of speculation around his journey and his trajectory. So we're focusing on ourselves, and we're very comfortable with our platform. Good luck to Canelo. We had a great working relationship, and look, who knows where it goes in the future.
Eddie said that now this can give you guys more creativity and power to sort of get together and make some of the biggest fights in boxing in a way that sort of from the money that you were previously giving Canelo? Possibly,
yeah. I mean, we're not going to get into the money side of it here, but I mean, to a degree, we're always looking at creative ways to make fights. And I think DAZN, in our history, I'd like to think that we are, we've delivered that. We've not only said that we're going to do it, and obviously we've got one of the greatest matchmakers in Eddie, Oscar with Golden Boy. Let's see where we come, but it's a good time. It's a good time for boxing generally at the moment.
Just finally from me, the acquisition of Kingpyn was something that came at a big surprise to people. Can you just speak a little bit about this? We heard that they went bust, and then DAZN had potentially bought them out, or there's a deal of some extent. We think that the same fights are happening, but we're a little bit unsure. Are you able to provide any clarity on this situation?
So, just to be clear, obviously the Misfits and DAZN X Series entity is still very separate. There will be a release that will come out that will explain the details. You're correct, there was the acquisition last week. We're not going to go into Kingpyn's position again. It was a business decision from them and us, and we look forward to the future. I mean, that space, we know it's growing rapidly. We've been incredibly successful in it over a short period of time, and we're looking forward to working with those guys.
Finally, is there any worry there about sort of the social media reaction from MAMS and KSI? We know that it can be a little bit, what's the word to say it? It's a bit of a brutal industry, and yes, yeah.
I gave you the word volatile.
Yes.
Yeah. No, we're not worried at all. Look, they're very professional. Again, I keep saying the word. They're business people. They understand that collaboration, DAZN's ethic when it comes to working in boxing is we believe you have to collaborate to work, and obviously be smart with the business, and we feel we're doing that, and they share that philosophy, and we'll see what happens on Twitter and social media, but that's not for me to comment on, or fortunately to be part of.
Well, Alfie, it's always a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you shortly up on the big stage in the big leagues.
Thanks a lot, Charlie. Yeah, you've warmed up my vocal cords there. Appreciate that.
Top man, thank you, mate.